When it comes to covering the most important issue facing us and our Earth, one day does make all the difference. Now, the Weather Channel and its innovative climate team at Pattern are connecting you every day to the most fascinating stories impacting our planet. For what's now and what's next, rely on the climate experts with the most trusted name in TV news. If it's out there, it's in here. The Weather Channel.
The scene is Wakefield, Rhode Island, and the topic is trouble. You see it there, this boat, again, just at the mercy of the rising water and the waves that are going to continue for quite a while. Somewhere out there, there's a boat owner that may be wondering how their boat is faring, and now much of the world can see it. One after another, just the relentless surf, a battering ram affecting this craft that on a good day would be sailing high, but right now it is certainly at the mercy of all that is coming with it, compliments of Henri. This location in Wakefield is roughly 20 miles as the albatross flies from our current location. And I will tell you, the boats that we have here in our harbor in Newport are considerably facing a different fate for now, but that could all change. So the scene that is unfolding at Wakefield could become commonplace throughout much of the northeastern United States. And then, of course, the story is going to be one of what it could do on land. With the abundance of rainfall, we've already had reports of rising water in places like New Jersey, certainly New York. We've had it happen there, but it seems like many others may be calling for help over the coming hours as the rain just continues, all from the tropics, from a system that seemed about a week ago that maybe its fate would stay out over the open water the entire time, but now it is steering its way inland. All right, let's come back here for just a moment in Newport, Rhode Island. And Kelly, let me show you where we have the boat scene behind me in the harbor. Let me show you real fast. We've got the boats that are ebbing and flowing and swaying a bit. And Kelly, this is a time that if you're out on one of these boats and you suffer from motion sickness, this is not the place to be. Let's send it back to you, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had to take those precautions before those rain bands arrived. But Reynolds, that happened overnight, and now it's just going to get worse from here on out. Just watching that boat there in Wakefield, Rhode Island, look at that. You can see that boat just being pushed ashore with each and every wave that comes on in. And yes, the wave heights are increasing now that we're getting Henri closer to the coastline. It's only about 35 or 40 miles away from the east end of Long Island, and therefore it's closing in on places like Rhode Island as well. So we want to talk more about Henri and the impacts that we can anticipate with this system. As you know, it has been downgraded to a tropical storm, however, a high-end tropical storm. So when we're talking 70-mile-per-hour winds as opposed to 74-mile-per-hour winds with a hurricane, not much of a difference there. The impacts are still going to be felt all across Long Island, southern New England. The higher winds obviously closer to the center, the eye of Henri, and that's where we're seeing some of those buoy reports with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Nantucket, you've been windy all morning long. We are looking at that east wind gusting to 33, and for Reynolds location, it's a northerly wind on that northern side of Henri. Here is a closer look at this buoy on the west side of Henri. You can see the winds are increasing to between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Of course, the wind is interacting with the surface of the water, and that's increasing the wave heights as well. We have now waves that are up to around 17 feet on the north side of that center of location, right in this location right here. So that northerly wind is also pushing the water across Long Island Sound onto the north coast of Long Island, so experience a bit of a water rise there. It all has to do with the wind direction. That determines how high the water gets at your particular location. And keep in mind, it's been raining for quite some time now. You've got saturated ground, may not take much wind to knock down some trees onto power lines, and therefore widespread power outages are expected across the eastern half of Connecticut, into much of Rhode Island, and even in that red shaded zone, it is likely that we will see the lights go out for not just hours, but perhaps even days. Unfortunately, it could take a little while, and we're starting to see more counties in northern and central New Jersey reporting those outages right now. That's, of course, where we've had the flooding rain, too. But we're going to continue to track the severe aspect of the system as it moves onshore. But meanwhile, another story that we're following is in Tennessee, west of Nashville, Jordan, where that flooding has been awful.
Yep, this is outside of Henri completely, and just look at some of the devastation. People across 4 counties counties in Middle Tennessee are actually going to survey some of that flood damage today. This was a catastrophic and deadly flash flood event that hit some of the hardest areas like Humphreys County, 60 miles west of Nashville. Sheriff confirms at least 10 deaths are there, with another 30 people unaccounted for. Most of the rain fell in the town of McEwen. This is in just about an hour west of Nashville, like I said, in western Middle Tennessee. An astonishing 17.02 inches. 17 inches. This could be the new state record if it verifies. We already know we have the impacts from there, from all of the runoff. And I just want to show you what took place. This was an overnight event initially, and then we had a second round, a 1-2 punch that took place in the second half of the day. Parts of I-40 were completely shut down. So that was the second wave. Let's reload this and show you the first wave, where it just continues to pile in that heavy torrential rain. You get a gap, and then boom, they're hit again, which is why we've got that rain gauge completely overflowing. So when we zoom in here, you can see no wonder I-40 was completely shut down in both directions for a time. But north of I-40 is where we had that rain gauge at 17 inches, and you have all of the flood reports that were issued there. We're still looking for those 30 people. Thankfully, the forecast calls for drying conditions. We'll be back.
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel.
This is epic.
Trusted to be there where and when you need us. Trusted to work around the clock until every threat is over.
We're in this for the long haul.
Because America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
And we want to take you live now to the coast of Rhode Island. This is near Narragansett, actually, and a boat obviously was tore from its moorings and is now getting battered by the wind, the waves, and is just stuck there on shore. Thankfully, no one is aboard this, and this is going to have to be dealt with after the storm. But this is why a lot of people move their boats, take them out of water, make sure that they are properly moored. I know that some people actually in the Keys will ride out storms on their boat, but they make sure they do it in a safe, tucked in location. But this is unfortunately one tragedy already from this storm that is just unleashing right now on Long Island, making its way into Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. With all of our flash flood warnings this morning, we've had a steady rain through the whole morning here in Montauk. The waves behind me have been kicking up. They're 9-10 feet. That water temperature is 73 degrees. That's what's taken down this system. And that's one of the reasons we're starting to see it fall apart is the cooler water temperatures. It was sitting over the Gulf Stream, and it is no longer doing that. But the heavy rain is going to be on the west side of this system. And so you have to keep that in mind. All along Highway 27 here on Long Island, I'm talking from Hempstead to West Babylon, Mastic Beach, West Hampton, Southampton, Bridgehampton. Watch out also for some power outages. I have a friend who is in East Hampton right now, and she said she had the power was starting to flicker a little bit. So do keep that in mind. The high tide for us is at 9:18. We do have a northerly wind because of where the system's positioned just off to our east. I mean, talking, 30, 40 miles the center, just off to our east. The strongest winds will be right around that eye wall. But the reason we have the heaviest rain on the west side is because Henri is doing a dance with an upper level low that's been basically over the Appalachians. And so these two systems are going to be combining together. This system's actually pulling it in, pulling Henri into it. And that's why it's going to be moving northwest. So the day has just begun, Jordan. Everyone's just going to have to sit tight and hope they don't lose power and hope that flooding and surge is not an issue for them as this inches closer to the coast.
Let's just hope it doesn't stall and just sit overhead. I know. I mean, there's going to be a lot to learn just throughout the day, Steph. Thank you. And that's why we've got a team spread all across New England, ladies and gentlemen, just to continue to. We're learning as this storm is moving on shore, right? We're learning as it's working its way into some of our interior zones. I want to get you caught up on just some of the nuts and bolts. And one of the big things, kind of Steph talked about that low and how we're seeing a lot of that energy getting pulled in. So you see this big swath of energy on that western side of the storm system itself, where we had just some gnarly flooding from New York City yesterday, Central Park, all the way down into Jersey this morning. But here's some of the key components. It's now moving north-northwest. So you could see the center of it was moving north all morning, and now it's starting to shift a little bit and slow down. That 18-mile-per-hour speed has been downgraded to 60 miles per hour with still that tropical storm category. So the tropical storm warning is now in effect for all these locations. Like if you remember about an hour ago, we had the hurricane warning that was in effect for parts of Long Island. But now that this storm system is in that tropical storm, that strong tropical storm strength, we've got the tropical storm gusts that could be anticipated for all those zones. Once again, here's the enhanced satellite, just gives you a better clear view of this. As that storm kind of works its way up into that region, we're starting to see more power outages. We've got the power outages from some of the flood concerns in Jersey continues to pile up, and we're going to see a lot more of that kind of centered right there around Rhode Island in the eastern part of Connecticut, but I mean, there's a potential for, a lot of power outages with this. I want to take a live look from Storm Tracker Charles Peak this morning in western Rhode Island, currently right now, as he's out and about giving us real-time conditions of what the roadways are looking like. And they are rapidly deteriorating, Kelly. As you can see, we started off in Charles Peak's live shot with just some light rain, and now it seems like it's coming down a little bit more of a steady pace.
One thing to note as you're looking at this, look at the tree canopy. Look at the power lines.
Oh, yeah.
Right there alongside that road right there. So unfortunately, with the winds picking up and you're saturating the ground right now with that heavy rain, it may not take much wind to cause some of these trees to knock over those power lines. So just another hazard we have to be mindful of if you are going to get out and about. But it's really best to stay at home, stay safe. We've got travel concerns, whether you're flying by air or by road. You can see the heavy rain, by the way, approaching Boston. So incoming rain band moving right into the Logan Airport area. There's the center of Henri, well down here, but you have these rain bands that extend well out from the center of circulation, and it's impacting so many people in terms of the threat of severe weather, the heavy downpours leading to not just ponding on the roadways and puddles, but we're talking outright flooding here. So avoid travel if you can. In fact, the governor of Connecticut has banned tractor trailer traffic and motorcycles, tandem trailers, the empty tractor trailers along 95 in the state of Connecticut starting at 11 o'clock this morning as conditions continue to deteriorate throughout the day today.
Welcome back to the 11 Weather Channel. We are watching a video of a boat right now. This is southern Rhode Island near Narragansett, and this boat obviously tore from its moorings. And so this is not a good scenario. This is why people move their boats. They make sure they're really moored down well. But obviously this one has gotten away, and unfortunately it's going to be getting a little damage here as it's pounding against the shore. Hopefully it's not a total loss with it, though, and they are able to salvage this once the storm is over. Let's talk about some of our wind gusts earlier this morning on Block Island, gusting to 49, Narragansett gusting to 52 miles an hour. We've had a steady rain here in Montauk. A little bit of flooding going on here, nothing significant so far to report for us here, but the center of circulation is just about 20 miles off, I would say, to my southeast. And it would be in that direction. Kicking up the waves, though, we've seen these waves high all morning. The water has been running up as well. High tide is at 9:18 this morning for us here. The winds haven't been too gusty. We have seen lights flicker here and there at some places by East Hampton, and it's going to vary where you are. But what is not going to vary, the fact that we're going to see very heavy rainfall on the west side of the system. The storm comes in today, will make landfall, and then it stays around all day. And the reason that it is going to stay around is because we have a big upper level low to the west. So it gets pulled into that, they merge into one. There's nothing to kick this system out until really we get to Tuesday. So we're going to be dealing with the system today. Tomorrow still cloudy and still wet for a lot of people. And then by Tuesday our system is kicked out. You see, they each have to get kind of knocked and pushed out of the way by the next one. They don't just move on their own. That's not how the atmosphere works. It's getting pulled and pushed by everything happening around it. So this is going to be a long duration event of the clouds and the showers, and we're already seeing that flash flooding going on into New Jersey. And Jordan, this is just a really interesting scenario because we're not used to these systems always getting tangled up with another. We've seen it with some. Matthew in North Carolina got tangled with the front, and that's why they saw all that huge flooding there in North Carolina. So when they do tangle with another system, it just exacerbates typically the flooding and sometimes the winds. Yeah, and we actually have some new video that we want to show, Steph, just to kind of illustrate what you're talking about a little bit more. This is new video into the Weather Channel of some flooding that's taken place or took place overnight in the Hoboken area of New Jersey last night. So you can see what Steph's talking about. I mean, you've got a tropical entity, and then you've got this
this frontal area, this low pressure system that kind of helps squeeze out more moisture, and it really produces a lot of precipitation. So you had daily rainfall records in Central Park, New York yesterday, with almost daily rainfall records out at LaGuardia. I mean, several inches have fallen. They got 4 inches specifically at Central Park. And now we're seeing a lot of that flash flooding take place south and west of this location. All right, closer to Trenton, New Jersey, and Middlesex County. So this is well south and west of the center itself, which is why it's all kind of connected here. And, you know, we're going to be seeing different stories play out depending on, you know, your specific location, which is why we want everybody in New England to be prepared for deteriorating conditions today. And we're seeing that out the door this morning. Philadelphia has seen some rain, but most of the drenching rain, the torrential rain, has been on the Jersey side of things. As you can see here, look at some of these reports. Plainsboro Township, 7.5 inches. In the last 12 hours, a lot of that came since midnight, okay? That is a lot of rain in a short period of time. Cranberry, 8.3 inches is how much rain we got there. We've got the flash flood warning that's in effect right now. That'll stick with us. Probably get expanded, too, or extended just because of the rain that's still coming down. But it looks like the heaviest stuff is turning lighter, which is good. But, you know, now that we've got potentially clogged storm drains, the water's just going to take its time to completely run off and dissipate out. Windsor, flooding in Hankins Road. That was earlier this morning. We've had some high water rescues in the East Windsor Township. Cranberry, several water rescues took place there. Some residents had some flood concerns, especially in the basement areas. So if you're in Albany, if you're in Worcester, just know that this could be the story in your neck of the woods as we work our way over the next 12 to 24 hours. So again, that left side heavy load of precipitation is going to move into Hartford over the next couple of hours. Stick with us through tonight, Kelly, and of course this is going to linger with us into early next week.
All right, so tropical storm force winds between 39 and 74 miles per hour possible across this zone where we do have tropical storm warnings. The hurricane warnings have been discontinued now that Henri is a tropical storm, but you can see all the people impacted from New England back to New York City and into New Jersey as well. So yes, we already have tropical storm conditions affecting us around Newport, Rhode Island, also the Cape Cod, the islands here, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket. That east wind has been stiff all morning long, gusting well over 30 miles an hour. The buoy reports closer to the center obviously are going to show the stronger winds because that's where you have the core of those strongest winds right near the center. So here's a look at one of those buoys on the west side of Henri, buoy 44017, and you can see the winds are just over 40 miles an hour. That wind is interacting with the surface of the water, and we are seeing wave heights increasing now to 17 feet just on the north side of that center of circulation. Montauk, where Steph is a steady north wind, 18 miles an hour, but gusting to 30. Newport, where Reynolds is, we are gusting over 30 miles an hour. So far, the power outages have been across New Jersey, where we've also had some flash flooding, but we're expecting it to be widespread in that purple zone of eastern Connecticut, much of Rhode Island as well, and even likely back towards Hartford, Connecticut, parts of Massachusetts. So just do what you can now to prepare for those power outages. Kind of put some ice packs in the freezer or the fridge to kind of keep things cooler longer. There's a look at some of those counties that are reporting the outages right now in New Jersey, but we do expect it to get worse as we bring Henri ashore later today. Stay with the Weather Channel. Download our app on your TV. Our coverage also on Roku, Fire Stick, and on your smart TV.
The Weather Channel and its innovative climate team at Pattern are connecting you every day to the most fascinating stories impacting our planet. Rely on the climate experts with the most trusted name in TV news. If it's out there, it's in here. The Weather Channel.